Picky eating can be so frustrating. But what if you're making it worse? I've got the top reasons why parents inadvertently, unintentionally make picky eating worse. I've got 12 picky eating mistakes. I'm going to zip through them and try to be as concise as possible, but stay to the end for the most important one. Number 1, too much pressure. Yes, that nagging, will you take another bite? Did you see that asparagus on your plate? I think you should try it. That is nagging, and that is pressure for kids. And when kids are picky eaters and they experience pressure, they tend to eat less. So, moms and dads, back off on the pressure. If you need more information about that, check out all my blog articles and resources over on thenourishedchild.com. Number 2, bribing your child to eat with food. Oftentimes when parents do this, it's sweets and treats they're using to get their kid to eat something healthy, like fruit or vegetables. It doesn't work. It might work in the moment, but for the long run, it shifts the priority in a child's mind to favoring those sweets and treats. So it's no bueno for the long run. Your only job is to offer. You don't need to bribe your child to eat. Number 3, giving up on certain foods. So let's say you offer your child broccoli and you've offered broccoli 7 times and you're done. You don't want to cook it anymore. You don't want to spend money on it anymore. Well, research tells us it can take children 12 to 15 exposures before they will accept a new food. And the other mistake that parents will make is they give broccoli plain and steamed, and it just doesn't taste very good. So use the condiments and the dips and prepare it in different ways to entice your child to try it. Number 4, which is related to number 3, only offering the foods that your toddler will eat. This is a mistake. When we only give children the foods that they will eat, we are short-circuiting their exposure to other foods. And there are so many foods out there. So don't do that. Make sure you're always changing things up so you're challenging your picky eater. Mistake number 5, delaying textures. I talk to so many families who are afraid to give their toddler or their young child highly textured food or even spicy food. Again, children oftentimes achieve and over-exceed what we think they can do. Your job is to expose. Let your child decide whether they're going to try it or whether they're going to like it. You do not need to make that decision for them. Your only job is to get these varied textures and spices and flavors on the table so your child has a chance to try them. Number 6, taking over the feeding process. So many parents worry about their toddler or their picky eater and whether they're eating enough, and then they take over. They start to feed their child. They start to manipulate their child at the dinner table, and it never seems to ever work. The child learns that coming to the table for mealtimes is no fun. In fact, it's quite stressful, and they start to exhibit behaviors that show that they are trying to avoid coming to the table. You don't want to get into that whole mess. You need to allow your child to feed themselves. Let them be in charge of what goes in their mouth. Now, the caveat is you're in charge of what's on the menu. They're in charge about whether they put it in their mouth or not. Another mistake that I see parents make unconsciously, inadvertently, not knowing, is that they allow their young child to have access to lots of sugary foods, and they allow that access too frequently. Very young children don't need sugary sweets and treats, and it's not horrible if they get exposed to them and they have them, but remember, the more they eat those foods, the more likely they will develop a preference for those foods. Another mistake I see parents make with their picky eaters is that they rely on too much milk for nutrition, or if they're on alternative beverages to milk. They rely heavily on those beverages to provide nutrition for their child. What this can cause are other nutrient deficiencies because milk and milk alternatives don't have everything that a young child needs in terms of nutrition. It's a beverage that should be added to a variety of other foods in the meal. It should not be the anchor of your child's diet. The 9th mistake I see parents make with their picky eaters is that they keep food very bland. They're afraid to spice things up, to add flavor to foods because they're afraid that it will be an automatic no. I'm going to encourage you to be adventurous with spices, to try different things with your young child. You never know until you try. I have 4 kids. My 3rd one was eating mustard at the age of 8 months. She loved it. We wouldn't know this unless we kept trying different foods and allowed her to be exposed to all these things. The 10th mistake that I see parents of picky eaters making, and one of my biggest pet peeves, is they keep their child separate from the family meal table. They don't bring their child to the family dinner table until they are much older. Here's the thing. The minute your child turns 1, get them up at the table. And honestly, you can get them to the table at 6 months when they start eating solid food. The more your child is at the table with you, with their family members, with other people eating, the more they learn. The more they get exposed to different flavors and foods and smells, the more they get exposed to manners and behaviors at the table and table talk. They are learning from all of that exposure. So get your child to the table. Do not keep them separate from the rest of the family. Mistake number 11, using screens, toys, books, iPads, games to distract the child so that they will eat. Guess what, folks? This doesn't help children eat. What it does is it helps children tune out of their appetite, and that's not good. We want kids to be in tune with their appetite, to understand their hunger, their fullness, when to eat, when to stop, and we don't want to disrupt that attention, that inner barometer of appetite by using things that distract them and cause them to eat mindlessly. And the last tip, or the last mistake rather, that I see parents of picky eaters make is, drum roll, asking their child what they want to eat. Kids don't know what they want to eat. Well, they know that they want to eat the foods that they like, the foods that they're familiar with, but they're never going to suggest something new. If you're always asking them what they want to eat, don't ask. Offer your toddler or your child, your picky eater, what you think is best for them to have, keeping in mind food variety and food balance and being flexible. But remember, young children don't know what's good for them. The adults in their lives do. So I want to encourage you and empower you to make those important decisions for your picky eater. If you want a great resource for helping your child develop good eating habits, check out my book, Kids Thrive at Every Size, How to Nourish Your Big, Small, or In-Between Child for a Lifetime of Health and Happiness. It is hot off the press, guys. You can get it now anywhere books are sold. I hope you take a look at it, and I hope these 12 tips or these 12 mistakes that parents of picky eaters make helped you in some way. If they did, drop me a comment below and let me know which tip resonated with you. In the meantime, subscribe to this channel and I will see you next time.